Welcome to the CAD Builder video tutorial series. Today we will be covering the controls for the lighting, appliances, user shapes, and additional catalogs within CAD Builder. These items are all decorative items that are mainly used to enhance your 3D rendering. Let's start by opening a design. In this design, I have added a row of upper and lower cabinets along the west wall so that it's ready to be completed with our additional items. First, we want to go ahead and add the appliances. Once you open the appliances icon, go to Refrigeration and select your desired fridge and place it on the west wall. Next, we will go one tab down to the Sinks and Faucets tab and place a sink in the sink base cabinet next to the fridge. Then let's add our faucet by simply closing up the sink section, open up Faucets, and select a faucet of your choice and place it behind the sink. Then go ahead and center it on the sink cabinet with the center tool. Now we will move on down to the Lighting tab. Open up the Chandeliers section and select any light from the Island Chandeliers folder. We will drag and drop it so that it is basically in the center of the room. In order to add some furniture, we will need to open up the Additional Catalogs menu. Then in the drop-down menu, select Furniture. Open the Dining Room folder, then Dining Sets, and select your preferred option. Let's place it in the center of the room below the island chandelier. The last item we will be looking at is going to be the user shapes. In the user shapes drop-down menu, we have the option of a floor user shape, a wall user shape, or a T-wall. Select a square floor user shape and place it anywhere on the floor. Next, select an elevation view of one of the walls and place a wall user shape on that wall. Then, back in the plan view, we will place a T-wall on one of the walls. Now that we have our products in our design, we'd like to take a look at the attributes associated with each of these items. Let's start with the refrigerator. Once you select the fridge, you will notice, similar to our cabinets, a dialog panel appears on the right side of the screen, showing all of the attributes related to that product. This is where we can edit the dimensions, the position, the location and orientation, and the label for the selected item. The next item we will be looking at is the dining set. Select the dining set and go to its product attributes. And let's extend the width by 20 inches. Now when you resize a decorative item like this, the item will stretch out lengthwise. In order to fix this, you will need to adjust the depth as well in order to reduce the amount of stretching. So let's add 20 inches to the depth as well. In order to locate your dining set within the room, we won't be able to use the dimension tool because it isn't a cabinet item. In addition to that, because our dining set is not applied to a wall and it's floating in the room, we will not be able to adjust the position values either. To adjust the position for an item like this, we will need to use a hidden wall. Let's open up our Layouts tab and select the Hidden Wall tool and draw a wall in the center of our room and hit Escape to release. Now disable one of the zones, leaving only the one zone that we will apply the dining set to. To determine the position of the hidden wall, we're going to want to use the Dimension tool. Select the Measurements tool at the bottom of the screen and select Horizontal, or you may select Vertical depending on where you placed your sink base. Then select the wall first. We do this because the first item is the item that will be moved, and then select the sink base placed on the wall. Now you will see we get a horizontal dimension line. Select that dimension line and type in a value of 120 inches. Now place the dining set against that wall. If you need to adjust the starting point for the wall, we can select vertical dimension this time. Again, selecting the hidden wall first, and then selecting the south room wall second. Select the dimension, and in the length text box, we will type in a value of 60 inches and hit the Tab key. Now, if the placement doesn't need to be so precise, you can always use the Move Action tool to locate it vertically or horizontally in the plan view. Now let's select our chandelier. To position the chandelier above the dining set, we can do one of two things. We could place the light on the wall that the dining set is applied to, and then use the In-Out command to center it above the table. Then we'd use the positioning tool to center it on the width. Or we can use the Center Action menu to center the item and simply use the In-Out tool to find the correct depth. With the chandelier still selected, let's take a look at the attributes. You will notice there is a new option in the Properties menu for turning the light on or off, as well as changing the color and intensity of the light. You can see how these change in my example here. The next items we will be looking at is our user shapes. Each user shape has a different function. Let's start with the T-wall. Select the T-wall and place it against the fridge. The T-wall is a solid wall and will function so that you can add and manipulate to add walls without zones into your design. The T-wall can be resized to your liking and placed anywhere in the room. To position the T-wall, we're going to want to use the left and right dimension boxes in the attributes. Set the right position value for the T-wall to 36.5 inches. The T-wall is the only user shape that does not have a shape editor and can only remain a wall. However, the floor and wall user shapes are essentially starting templates for you to use, to modify, or to make your own objects or shapes out of. Select the floor user shape that we added to the design, and let's take a look at its attributes. In the attributes, just like the other objects, we can start by resizing the shape's overall settings. Let's make this 12 inches wide and 240 inches on the depth and 6 inches thick. You will notice there is a new section here for glossiness as well as a box displaying the current finish of the item. Select the three little dots next to the finish and select a paint scheme that matches your room. We will place this item against the wall above the cabinets on the left. This is one way to create a soffit above the cabinets, and here you can see it in the 3D preview. The next box within the user shapes is the Edit Shape tool. This tool allows you to completely customize or draw your own shapes to create objects from. Please tune into our shape editor video titled All About User Shapes on our website for more instructions at cabbuilderssoftware.com. Now, the wall user shape operates the same way. The only difference is how the 3D rendering is applied to it once it's resized. By adding some of these additional items like the appliances, lighting, and user shapes, you will be able to create a beautiful 3D rendering of your design for your customer. Thank you for watching and enjoy the next video. To view additional video tutorials, please visit www.cabbuildersoftware.com/training.